So, if you are like a coach or a helping professional, you're going to want to listen to this interview because Irena really drops a lot of freaking knowledge for you. She has a PhD in neuroscience, and she is the creator and the person running Neuroscience School. She gives you like a PhD, learning in neuroscience and how to transform your life so that you can help transform the life of your clients, your patients, all of that. So this is going to be the episode you're going to want to watch. All right, let's do it. What's up, y'all? This is Neena Perez, and this is Straight Talk, no sugar added. And you know, I get the best humans on the planet to come on here to grow, challenge, and transform your thinking. And today's guest is going to do just that. She reinvented herself after 15 years in her original career as an accountant, and she holds a PhD in cognitive neuroscience. Now, y'all know we love to talk about neuroscience on here because it is really something that transformed my life, and it has transformed the lives of so many others. Now, she is the founder of the Neuroscience School, and Dr. O'Brien has trained over 700 coaches and practitioners on how the brain actually drives behavior change. Not just agreement, but real action, y'all. Okay, that's why I have her on here. Now, we've been trying to break down so many things here on this show, and we want to break down why people say yes but they don't follow through. That used to be me forever, and sometimes I still do that, right? So I have to find out what that is and what's really happening in the brain during resistance, right? How do we create transformation for good, right? In our leadership, in our life, in our business, all of it. And Irena is going to help us out with all of that. So let's welcome her to the stage. Hello, Irena. How are you?
Hello, Neena. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm
I'm
well,
so
thank
glad.
you.
You're amazing. I am so excited to talk to you. I love the first conversation. I'm like, yes, you're on the show for absolutely sure. And I have a lot of professionals that listen to the show. So a lot of coaches listen to my show. A lot of like CEOs and leaders listen to the show because I have people like you, real people who are on the ground doing the work and helping others. And that's what the show is about. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank
Um,
you.
the first thing I like to start the show off with is who are you? I want to know who you are. So we get to know, like, and trust you. You know what I mean? So who is Irena?
Primarily, I'm a neuroscientist and I'm a neuroscience educator for coaches and helping professionals. This is my passion. Um,
Yeah, I mean that changed for you though, right? I mean, you were an accountant for a long time, right?
I was a tax accountant for 15 years,
That's
actually.
crazy.
And after my third child was born and I took a little bit of time off, I didn't want to go back to accounting.
Mm,
It wasn't really that fulfilling. And so I went back to university and I got another undergraduate degree in psychology. And in my first semester back, I took a course in neurobiology and I was hooked. I was hooked on the brain. And ever since, it's been a love affair. And like 20, 25, 30 years later, I'm still just as much in love with it.
why neuroscience though? Was that just like something that piqued your interest, or was there something going on in your life where you were frustrated with things, or what made you do that?
I think it piqued my interest, and I really like deep learning.
Mm,
And I think it really wasn't all that much. The skills were not that much different from tax accounting in the sense that you're constantly digging and investigating and interpreting,
mm.
which is something I love and something that I'm good at.
I love that you mentioned that too, because I think a lot of people think that they cannot change because they're, already too long in their career, or, maybe they're older now. They don't feel like changing, or they don't think they can use that. But I love that you said you were using already some of those skills in your previous career, because I think people kind of miss that point, that you can utilize the skills that you have into something that you're more interested in now. And I love that you said that, because I want to give everybody kind of a perspective that nothing is wasted, that everything that we do in life and experience in life can be utilized in a different way and to do something that we really love. So I love that you found your passion, right? Because you were already further into your career. You could have just kept going like most people do. You just keep going into the mundane career thing that you're not happy with.
Exactly.
Yeah, right? And
Yeah.
that, yeah, that then affects your family, your home, your life, because you're not happy. And what you were doing was hard work. Tax accounting is not easy. That's a very difficult thing to do because there's a lot of pressure that comes with that job.
There's a lot of pressure, but it was still fun in a way. Well,
Okay.
it was fun. The part that I really liked was reading the law and trying to interpret the law and trying to find ways around the law. That I really liked a lot.
We like you too. All of us who pay taxes like people like you
But
very much. All right.
I love
So
this much better.
good. Um, I was, reading your bio and like reading some things that you've done. And I saw that you said something powerful about that people can agree, logically and still not change. And
Yes.
I wanted to talk to you about that. What actually is happening to the brain at that moment? Because a lot of us do that, Irina. Do you ever find yourself doing that too? Where you like are agreeing logically, but then you see no change?
All the time. I can
Yeah.
start with a story
Yeah, let's
and
do
then
it.
I'll go into an explanation.
Okay.
So I have a business coach, and she was pushing me to roll out a program that she said would be good for me. So I developed the program, and then I procrastinated rolling it out. And every week, and all my reasons were valid reasons. Well, I can't this week because of this. The following week, oh, well, I can't that week because of this. And it just kept rolling over for a couple of months. And then I was talked to my mentor about that program, and he said, "Don't do it. There's too much uncertainty about it." And at
Oh.
that moment, my body relaxed. I felt relief,
Oh.
and I realized that the reason I wasn't rolling it out was because I wasn't aligned with it. And yet I had been beating myself up over it for the past few weeks, thinking that I have a problem with uncertainty. No, I wasn't aligned with it.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting too. So what, you don't think it was that you didn't associate that with fear? Like fear of putting yourself out there, or of putting this program out there? That wasn't the association. That's really interesting.
Well, it was all it wasn't the kind of person, it wasn't who I wanted to show up as. And it was a program for my graduates, and I didn't
Okay. Okay.
it wasn't in a way that I wanted to show up for them. So, I mean,
Mm.
there was fear obviously there too, but I didn't define that until after he said, "There's too much uncertainty, don't do it."
So what how did you develop the program then? Was it because of the guidance of someone that you developed this program?
Yes,
Okay, got it. That's a really great point. And
yes,
that because that happened to me in my journey as a coach, right? Somebody wanted me to be the coach of, I think it was shame, because I talk a lot about it and I deal with it, but I didn't want to be that person,
yes,
like a Brene Brown or something like that. It's just not what I wanted to do, right? But I did it anyway. I did the whole program. I did all the modules. I did the whole thing, and then I didn't with it. So thank you for saying that, because that kind of clarified something for me. And it wasn't until the beginning of this year that I actually put all of my coaching down. I had clients. I finished with my clients. They did amazing at building businesses, the whole thing. But I wasn't aligned anymore, and I didn't know why. I thought it was fear or imposter syndrome, or maybe I'm just not good enough, like all the things, right? And so I'm glad that you said that, because now I am aligned in a lot of the things that I do, and I feel way, way better. right? So tell me about that alignment process for you. Like, I know that your coach said that to you, but then there's a tomorrow, then there's a next step after they say it, right? Because now you worked so hard on this supposed program that you
Yes.
weren't aligned with. So tell me about that process for you. What went through your mind? And
Well,
and yeah.
I think that we should go back to what the brain is built for,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because, yeah. And so, contrary to what most people think, right? Most people think the brain is built for thinking, for feeling, for making decisions, but it's not. The purpose of the brain is safety, to keep you
Right.
safe and to
Right.
keep you alive. So it's all about safety and survival. And the brain is also a prediction machine. So your brain is built on all of your past experiences. So everything your brain is everything that you've experienced up till today. And then it predicts your responses or your reactions. And it does that by going back to so for example, uh, if you're involved in a situation, right, you have all these interoceptive sensations, that's sensations from the body, and exteroceptive, which are external sensations, and the brain will take a look at that and kind of ask itself, so the last time I was in a similar situation, what did I do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll do it again. And so,
Right. Because they
and
survived it, because you survived it when you did it the
if you're
first
still
time.
alive today, the
Yeah.
brain thinks it's doing the right thing. And
Right.
it's also about conserving energy and predicting energy, right? Because life is about energy.
Right.
And so if I go back to that issue with that program, my brain predicted that it was going to cost too much energy. And too much
Okay.
energy because I wasn't aligned with it. And so it was issuing procrastination.
Mm. So in that moment, then that procrastination actually helped you because, right? Because
It
then you did
always does.
right. Oh, it always
It
does.
always
That's a good
does.
statement. What do you mean by that?
Well, a question to ask is, what is your brain protecting you from?
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I had asked that question, not only that, if I had listened to my body was
Yeah.
reacting to
Yeah.
that program, and I should know better because I teach this,
Right.
but
You are human after all, Irena.
but I wasn't listening to my body, and I was beating myself up over it. But
Mm.
it was a simple thing. My brain was protecting me from embarking on a project that was going to cost me too much energy because I wasn't aligned with it. Not because the
Mm.
project was wrong, but because I wasn't aligned with it, and it would have required too much energy to put it out there.
That is so interesting. So when someone says they're stuck in procrastinating, because I hear that a lot, right?
Yes.
So, um, and I know that you're saying that the brain is trying to protect them, but what, like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, do we then, when we ask our brain that, what are you protecting me from? Um, Logic, like my brain just goes to, well, maybe sometimes my brain is also falsely protecting me. Do you agree with that? Like maybe sometimes it's thinking this is dangerous or thinking this is whatever when it's actually not, or it's a pattern I want to change, right?
The brain is never falsely protecting you.
Okay.
So let's work with so procrastination. It could be because you just don't have the capacity. Maybe you don't have the energy, right? Because your brain is constantly managing your energy. It's predicting what energy you're going to need. So
Okay.
maybe you just don't have the capacity. So maybe it's something like, well, I can't do it today, but I can do it tomorrow when I have more energy. It could be because you're not aligned with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I wasn't aligned with that project. It could be for any other number of reasons. And then but in the end, it is all about, is there enough energy to do this?
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And is how much energy is it going to cost to do this?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's so interesting. I,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it like put that way, right? That it's not falsely protecting you. Because I always thought that there was, times in my life where, maybe I didn't want to do something, but it was mostly because of either, the excuses I give myself or the fear or, like things like that, or I just procrastinated to the very end. And I'm just like, why am I, oh, this is going to take forever. Maybe that's what it is. It's resistance, right? Um,
Resistance is often a capacity issue,
okay.
right? That you just don't have the energetic capacity to do it.
Mm,
And so, what can you do about that? You can break it down into tiny steps so that you're still pushing the envelope a little bit, but you're not freaking out the brain. Like the brain will give you that, allow you to expend that little bit of energy. It does take some energy to do that. And then once you start pushing the envelope bit by bit in tiny steps, that changes your brain, right? Because the brain is built on experience. And so going forward, you're creating new pathways if you keep on doing that. And
hmm
then it's going to change the brain's predictions going forward
It's so interesting.
after a while. Yeah.
What do you think are the most important questions we need to ask ourselves when we're going through stuff like resistance, procrastination, maybe fear?
I like the what's my brain protecting me from?
I like that too.
Notice your bodily reactions because that often comes first.
hmm hmm
And we tend to ignore those bodily reactions, but those bodily reactions are telling you something. Um, so let me think about a couple of other questions. Maybe you don't have the capacity,
Yeah, I
right?
know. I like
So
that one because
yeah,
sometimes we don't think about that. We just keep moving.
and that's true. And the thing is, if you look at the iceberg model
hmm
of the brain, do you know about the iceberg model of the
Yeah,
brain?
yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So well, we know that most of the iceberg is below the waterline,
hmm
right? And so above the waterline, we have our results and our behavior, but below the waterline, we have our thinking, feeling, and emotion. And right at
hmm
the very bottom is our physiology. That's diet, exercise, sleep. That's nervous system regulation. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're not going to have the capacity to do everything that you want to do. And so you have to make sure that you are getting good quality restorative sleep overnight. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
And then also eating a healthy diet because our diet affects our brain function also.
hmm
And then getting enough exercise. So that is the basis of all brain's health. Of all brain health. It's the basis of cognitive and psychological functioning. And if you're not optimizing those, then you're not optimizing your brain.
That's good. I mean, I'm someone not right now in my life that is finally trying to get sleep, actual good sleep. And I had a lot of trauma in my life, so it
Yeah.
affects my sleep, and that's been for forever since I was a kid. But on this show, I have a lot of coaches, and a lot of coaches listen to the show. And I'm wondering if you can help us with maybe give us one mistake that most coaches make when they're trying to help clients change behavior. Because I know you teach a lot of coaches,
Yes.
right? So what do you think is one mistake that coaches are making when they're trying to help their client change behavior? Because I love the way you're approaching this. And I'm just wondering if we can have a fresh perspective on how to help our clients.
I think the main mistake that coaches make is that they're looking at mindset only.
Ah,
They're not looking at your bodily
hmm
reactions
hmm
or whether you have enough capacity. I mean, that is a big. So, what I tell my students, so we have something called a body budget, a tracker that I give my students, and it just tracks diet, exercise, sleep, mood, focus, energy. And by the end of, I only introduced that in module 8. So we have 14 modules. But by the end, I find, after module 8, I keep talking about it all the time. And I say, if this is the only thing you get from the program, you have gotten a lot. And
hmm
they really embrace it. And what I find is that well, it's true though. Often, just by fixing your diet, exercise, and sleep, a lot of those issues can go away.
That's so good.
Right? Not all of
Yeah.
them, but a lot of them. So in the end, it's all about energy. If sometimes we just do not have the energy for change. So get some great sleep, start eating a healthy diet, right? Get some exercise and your whole perspective will change.
That's so good, right? Because the world feels like it's built against that. Right?
Yes.
With all of the TVs and the phones and the screens and like most people are scrolling in bed instead of just relaxing. I do crossword puzzles in bed, things like that because I just don't want to be on the screen on the phone, or I'll read or I'll do something like that, but I'm trying to stay away from constantly being on the phone and having that blue light in the screens all the time. And I just feel like the world is definitely built against us getting a good healthy diet and going outside and going into nature and grounding ourselves. And we are all in this rat race. I think I feel like we're just all in this rat race and falling into our tombs that way. So what about like identity? Like what about how does that how does identity play a role in our behavior change? Does that have something to do with it? Who we align ourselves with, like what we believe in? Can someone truly change without shifting who they are, or do they have to change who they are?
No, they don't have to change who they are, but our person research does show that our personality can change, and it does change over the
Oh,
years. A good thing for coaches to remember is about identity. When you help your clients identify with who they want to become, right? Who their ideal self is, who they want to become, that's all about identity.
mm,
That activates positive emotions. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
hmm,
So let me explain what the difference is between parasympathetic and sympathetic. So sympathetic nervous system is our stress response,
okay,
and parasympathetic is our rest and they call it rest and digest, but it's our relaxation response. So the sympathetic nerve, so our in breath is faster than our out breath, is quicker. Sorry, the heart rate on our in breath is faster than the heart rate on our out breath. And the in breath activates the sympathetic nervous system, and our out breath activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
mm,
And to be more, and most people are always mostly in that sympathetic nervous system, right? And to balance it out, our out breath should be at least as long as our in breath. And
okay,
so the parasympathetic nervous system, because it's a relaxation response, when you identify with who you want to become, right, your vision, your mission, your ideal self, it activates that parasympathetic nervous system, and that creates energy.
okay,
Sympathetic nervous system consumes energy. So you can help your clients by helping them activate that who they want to become, right? Their ideal self. That creates the energy. It creates a whole cascade of positive emotions. So that only after you have done that, and you have done that well, then you start looking at a plan for change. And the plan for change should focus on the next step toward that ideal self, toward that person you want to become.
that's
That
awesome.
consumes energy, but now you have energy.
Right. I really love that you told us those are things that sound simple, but sometimes can be challenging, right? The sleeping, the eating right, the exercising, like all of that is so important to us. And we've been so misled. I feel with like all the infomercials and commercials and the things in the world that none of us really know or feel like we don't know how to do it right, you know? And so I want to talk about what you do, because I know that you teach professionals and coaches and stuff. Let's talk
Yes.
a little bit about that. I want people to understand what it is that you're doing in the world. So let's tell us what it is that you do, because I know that. I mean, I already hear what you're saying, and I'm already taking a bunch of notes. So I know at the end of this, I'm gonna be watching this again. So tell us about what it is that you're doing out here in the world.
So I teach coaches and helping professionals. It's a 14 module program, so it's almost I mean, some people call it a mini PhD in neuroscience.
That's awesome.
It's geared toward coaches, and so we go through different topics that are relevant to coaches, such as neuroplasticity, focus and decision making, willpower, motivation. We look at habit forming. We look at emotion, stress, flow, diet, exercise,
That's
sleep. We look at
awesome.
relationships. But overarching all of that, those are my modules. But then we have our Q&A calls every week, and I talk a lot about the predictive brain. I talk a
Mm,
lot about nervous system regulation. I talk a lot about the body budget, because those things are the basis. They're basic.
that's awesome. And so when you say helping professionals, can you tell me what you mean by that?
Coaches, psychologists. I've had psychologists. I've had
Oh,
medical
okay.
doctors also who've taken my
Okay.
program, but it's mostly coaches. Yeah.
That's awesome. And how, I know that you reinvented your life, after another career and everything. What was your own brain resistance? What did that look like? How did you deal with that during your transition?
I don't think I had any resistance during my
Oh, good.
transition, because going back to school and like the second undergrad degree was just, it was a joyous experience
Oh,
because
I
I
love
was
that.
learning. And
Right.
then all the way through the PhD, I kept thinking, wow, this is amazing. This is what I meant to do.
Isn't that great when you actually find that thing and you're aligned? It's so awesome, right?
It is, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's so great. I love
So
that for
even though
you.
you're working hard, it doesn't feel like work.
Right. I feel the same way about my career.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. I'm a chef by trade, and I help you know um underserved individuals get the skills they need in culinary, and then we find them jobs in the field
Okay.
and transform their lives. And it is the most amazing experience ever, you know.
It is. And I do a similar kind of thing through coaches, right? So I'm
Right.
helping people transform their lives by teaching coaches how they can help their clients do that.
Yes. And while they're, trying to help their clients, they're being transformed themselves. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, neuroscience, I mean, maybe in the last, I don't know, maybe 12 years or so is when I really started hearing about neuroplasticity and neuroscience. And I started to I got my master certification in NLP, because I just loved the whole thought of it, like changing people's mind and thought process. And so I love what you're doing. And I know what you mean about going and just like consuming all of the information, because you're just like, this is amazing. I want to know if you have a case study. I would love to know somebody's transformation that really you just went, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing," or this is something that you helped somebody with that you saw a real transformation. Do you have a case study?
I have a student assignment, and she had a case study in there. I can talk about that
Yeah, I'd
one.
love to just know real quick if you don't mind.
Yeah. So one of the things is that her client was making poor decisions. And so my student showed her that she was making her decisions from a reactive state, right?
Mm,
So it's that the information goes first to the amygdala, which is
okay.
reacts quickly, and then it's also sent through the to the cortex, and the cortex can put a brake on that amygdala. But if you've
Okay.
already reacted, right,
Okay.
then it's too late. But you can pause. So that pause is really important before you react.
So
So she
good.
learned about that pause and started to make better decisions. And she started to get offered promotions because of that.
That's
And
so
the other
good.
thing, yeah, and the other thing too is that this student of mine really embraced the body budget tracker that I was talking about. And
Yeah.
she had her, so when her clients start also complain that she had a lack of energy, that's a key that there's something with diet, exercise, and sleep. There's something with your physiology if you're lacking
Mm,
energy. And so she asked her to track her diet, exercise, and sleep, and then she asked her, and so her clients saw how that was affecting her motivation and her focus and her energy. And then she asked her client to start taking a walk at lunchtime rather than sitting at her desk, and not listen to a podcast. Just try and walk in the park, especially, and just like collude with nature. And when she went back to her, and she was implementing other things too. I think she was changing her diet. When she went back to her doctor a few weeks later, he took her off blood pressure medication.
Oh my
And all
God.
she did, yeah, and all she did was start to follow a healthier lifestyle. And even her daughter said, "Mom, you're different now in a good way."
That's amazing, right?
Yeah.
And that is just somebody making you aware.
Yes.
Somebody's teaching you something that we used to know way back before all of this stuff all over the world started
And
coming
none of
at us.
that was hard, right? What
Right.
she was asking her to do, it was
Right.
simple.
It was simple, but
Yeah.
we don't think about it. It's,
No.
we just keep working and keep going and keep working and keep going. And, I mean, I love that story, and I hope it inspires all of you who are listening, because I know I get a lot of emails from you guys and a lot of coaches and everything. And I know you've worked with people, on the show before. And that's why I wanted Irena here, because if you are a coach or a helping professional, and I know that you're listening, this is what you want to do, because you want to start transforming your life, because we got to get out of this rat race and these square boxes that people put us in, and these cubicles in life that we have. And we have to start getting out there and understanding that our brain is not used to that. It wants to, and I love that, Irena. So basically our brain is our friend, and it is trying to protect us, and it is trying to
Yes.
look out for us.
Yes.
Right. And we don't need to make it the enemy. Right.
And we have a
So,
lot more power
yeah.
to change our brain than we think we do. As
Yeah.
long as you know what you're doing, and it's
Right.
small steps. I mean, that's my mantra too, is tiny steps.
How do people work with you then? Or how do they get into your program? Like, can you give us that information? Because I know there's going to be people who are going to want to know that.
They can go to my website, neuroscienceschool.com. We have a new program starting on May 4th. So enrollment is open right now. So if you go
Okay.
there will be a link
Great.
with where you can find more information about the
Okay.
program. Yeah.
Okay. And do you have like social media presence at all that people can follow and hear you talk? Because you have a lot of knowledge. So we need to follow that.
I have LinkedIn.
Okay, great.
LinkedIn. So just go Irena O'Brien in one
Okay.
word, IrenaObrien.
Okay. And then your website is the Neuroscience
No,
School?
just
Okay. Okay, just
neuroscienceschool.com.
neuroscienceschool.com.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate you. And I mean, you made me think about things differently. And you're making me really like dig into this sleep thing, because I need it in my life. And I've realized I only sleep about 4 to 5 hours a day,
It's not
which is
enough.
not enough. Exactly. And I do know that. And I've been trying to improve it. My coach
Yes.
is kind of helping me do that. But I want to see, I guess I'm excited, because as I'm learning more about this stuff, I'm excited to see the change in my own life.
Yes.
Right. Because I always say I want to live this latter part of my life better than I ever lived my previous part of my life. So Irena, thank you for being here on Straight Talk.
And I have a
And
gift.
oh, yes. Tell
Yes,
us about
yes,
the
yes,
gift.
yes.
Yes. Listen up, y'all. Grab a pen and pen. Let's go.
Yeah, so I have a couple of things.
Okay.
It's for coaches and therapists and practitioners,
Okay.
primarily, but really for anyone who wants to get unstuck. And so the first piece is called The Neuroscience of Why Clients Get Stuck. And it gives you 10 insights into what's actually happening when someone understands what they need to do but can't seem to do it. Such as why willpower fails or why insight isn't enough, and what the nervous system needs instead. And each one comes with something that you can use in your next session. And the second piece is the brain-based change blueprint. And that shows you the 3 conditions that have to be present before change becomes possible, which are safety, capacity, and small repeated steps, which we've talked about today. So it's the same framework that I teach to my students, my coaches, and helping professionals. And you can find it all at loveneuroscience.com/sugar. And you'll get both pieces immediately.
I love it.
Yeah, loveneuroscience.com/sugar.
I love it. Thank you so freaking much. That is awesome. I know that's going to cause a lot of change in people's lives, and that always makes me excited because I feel like, I want everyone to get better. I want everybody to realize and like break, I call it the matrix, like break out of the matrix and just live a life worth living. And it doesn't mean what somebody else said you have to live or what TikTok said. Live a life worth living for you.
Yes.
And I absolutely love that, Irena. Thank you for those gifts. I'm going to get one myself, so I'll be on that. But I appreciate you being here on Straight Talk, and I appreciate you dropping all this knowledge. Thank you so much. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, Neena, for having me on the show. I've really enjoyed it, and I love sharing this information.
Thank you. Well, it's good info, girl. You got some good stuff going on. I'm glad you got out of accounting.
Me too.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and Irena. I'm going to make sure to link all of her information below, and those links, they will be down in the description. I cannot wait to hear all of the changes you guys are making in your life and what Irena has done for you, because I know a lot of you are so freaking awesome, and you have always like worked with somebody who's been on the show or joined their program or whatever. And I think this is going to be a life-changing one for you. That's why I had her here, because she's amazing. Thank you guys for being here. This is Neena Perez. This is Straight Talk, no sugar added. Bye, guys. Until next time.